Hi, I'm Alexa. This is real life, and we did not have very long to wait for Everton to announce their new manager. This morning, I woke up. News has broken that David Moyes has been hired. Now, David Moyes is a very, very familiar face to Everton fans, and he was the manager from 2002 to 2013. I really hope I just remembered those dates right, because we know I'm not the best with the dates. He was the manager. In my previous video, I was talking about Leighton Baines and Seamus Coleman taking over as the interim manager for the game we had on Thursday, how they were part of a team that I felt lucky to watch. They were so... Every time they stepped on the field, and even now Seamus still plays as our captain, he gives everything, and you never question whether they are giving their all for the club. And the team that they were in, we had so many players that truly bled blue. You couldn't question how much they loved our club, how much they loved playing for our club, how much they understood the fans and what we wanted from them. Obviously, you get players through who didn't get it. That's fine. They move on. You wish them well. Get someone in who understands your club, right? That's the thing. Moyes was the manager. I was just thinking about this today, and I sort of said this to another fan, that I really wonder if Moyes was just sick of Kenwright, because Kenwright owned our club for the longest time. And yes, there is credit to be given to Bill Kenwright. There's absolutely credit to be given. He did keep us where we were. He did put his money where his heart was. But it always felt like other clubs were getting new owners, new investments, and Everton wasn't. And he kept saying this line about waiting for the right owner and this, that, and the other. Now that we've had Moshiri, who just sold it to the Friedkin Group. Moshiri was there for, I want to say it was 8 or 9 years, but roughly almost a decade, basically. He and Kenwright, whatever their deal was, Kenwright stayed on. And between the two of them, I don't know how much of the mismanagement was assigned to each. I don't know how much of just a figurehead Bill Kenwright was, going to the games, being in the owner's box, having that sort of taken care of thing happen for him as a courtesy versus him having a say in things. I don't know. But it does make me wonder. It does make me wonder that how much did Moyes have to sort of fight and put up with before that as well? Now, when Moyes left, there was a little bit of drama, and we'll get into that in a moment, but Sir Alex Ferguson was legendary. I mean, is legendary, was legendary. He's a legend. He was the manager of Manchester United for decades. He was the manager that brought them from not doing very well. That might be an understatement. And he used academy players. There's a whole crop of players. Beckham was in it. I want to say maybe Scholes. I'm not a huge knowledge fan of, I don't follow Man United, right? But I know Beckham and I know others came up, and I've seen how Sir Alex Ferguson did it. There's, what are they called? Documentaries. There's like a documentary out there about it. I saw that. He used academy players. He did supplement, obviously, Cantona. I don't think he was an academy player. He came in. So they had other players as well, but a good number of their players that got them success in the 90s and early 2000s were academy players. Unlike Everton, they had funding such that they did not need to sell any of those great players as they developed them to that level in order to buy other players. Everton, every time we had an academy player at a certain level, we had to sell them in order to finance our club. And we would bring in maybe one or two other players, but who cost less and were not as good as the one player we sold. Kind of a thing we would do. The fact that, by all accounts, Sir Alex Ferguson hand-picked David Moyes as his successor when he decided to retire. There is absolutely, I don't think anyone in the world who would not take that opportunity and not take that challenge to, again, arguably one of the, if not the biggest club at the time in the sport, to go and take that position, to be honored by the legend picking you as the successor. I do think that part of the reason he chose Moyes was because of the same similarities, not the same, but similarities in using academy players and nurturing them and bringing them up through the ranks and getting them into that first team. I think that there were a lot of similarities in their styles as managers in that respect. And I think that that probably played a lot into Sir Alex Ferguson's choice. Now, there was, this is the drama bit, a subset of Everton fans who felt betrayed. They felt that Moyes had signed his life to us. And unfortunately, that's not true. It is a job, and he'd been there for 13 years. No, sorry, 11 years. 2002 to 2013. He'd been there for 11 years. There was no sale. I don't believe we were selling at the time to Mashir. I don't think that was even on the horizon. I don't remember exactly the timeline. He wanted a new challenge. And how do you say no to Ferguson, who is absolutely probably an idol of many managers? I mean, if they could have half of the career that he had, how do you say no to him asking you, I want you to be my successor? It was a great career opportunity. Now, when I heard this, I said to myself, I was sort of thinking about it, that it would be a lot harder than Moyes thought it would be. He was riding high on being chosen. He was riding high on that sort of ego boost. But the problem is, and this is where I think the Man United fans got this wrong, is that it doesn't matter how much of their team stayed the same. The fact that they had a new manager means that it was a brand new team, meaning the people all together on the team, not just we had parts of the same old team. Now, actually having parts of an old team and then new people coming in can actually cause issues. So the 4 stages of having a team, and this is for in a volunteer, this is at your work, when you have the forming, which is when you are brought together, either you choose to or your manager puts you together to do a project. You have forming, then you have storming. And storming is where there are power dynamics at play. People are trying to figure out who the other people on the team are. People are trying to sort of understand their new role in this new hierarchy of this new team. They are trying to figure out the goals, the motivations, the likes, the dislikes of their teammates. They're trying to figure out their place. So that is the storming. Norming is where stuff starts to get a little easier. Everyone is on the same page. Everyone has the same expectations at this point. You're all now working towards a common goal. And then the 4th part, if you are lucky, is performing. And performing is where you become a well-oiled machine and you just get into flow and your team just knocks it out of the park. I think, and I thought at the time, and it seemed to be proven true, that they expected him to simply just drop right into this hole that used to be Sir Alex Ferguson's spot, and everything would just continue as normal. I don't think he was given the time to truly go through the forming, storming, and norming phases. They wanted him at the performing. And listen, I get it was one of, and arguably is still one of the top teams in the world, well-known teams in the world. I get that there are expectations. I don't think that is a good rationale for unrealistic expectations. So this bad blood or hurt from allegedly a subsection of the Everton fans, again, I don't know whether it truly was Everton fans. It seemed to be a lot of vitriol online. The majority of people were like, yeah, you've got to take this chance. A lot of people sort of understood this is a natural. He'd been with Everton for 11 years, right? Like, he's going to take this opportunity. If you were in his shoes, if you've wanted to be a manager your whole life and you get an opportunity you'd take the opportunity, right? A lot of us understood that. There seemed to be this subsection that said some really, really nasty things, possibly did some nasty behaviors. Like, he lived, people know where these people live. It's not a secret. This was all before his first press conference. And then basically in the run up to the season that was starting, he would have the press conferences, and it seemed like the press was picking at him. They'd ask those questions, which are so pointed and so specific, but then the answer they would basically broadcast as he said, every Everton fan is this. So I want to say my understanding of what it was he was asked a question about, what do you think of those fans who are saying these nasty things about you? It was something along the lines of that, like very, very specific. Like, what do you think of this behavior that's really mean and like saying that you're horrible and all of this nasty words, right? And he would do this thing where most of the time he's very stoic. He wouldn't answer questions if he thought they were stupid. And I think he just got to a point where he was like frustrated, annoyed, having a bad day, whatever it was. And he allegedly, or did say, I didn't go and watch the video, I didn't need to, he said that it was disgraceful, I want to say is the word. Anyway, the headlines in England in the tabloids, because tabloids don't believe them, Everton fans are a disgrace. That was it. There was nothing about, it was this subsection, he was being asked about this specific behavior. But it did cause more Everton fans to be upset. It has been, he lasted one season at Man United, and that goes right back to the storming, forming, norming, performing, and the unrealistic expectations that they had for him to just drop straight into the performing, role of they were used to. And I get it, they were used to that under Ferguson. In that interim, Moyes has now coached 3 other teams. He took West Ham to, let me make sure I say this right, the UEFA Europa Conference League final in 22-23, I want to say it was. He won that cup. We went to a few finals with him, but we did not win hardware under his reign. And I do feel like that was one of the things that was missing from his tenure. It's been 12 years, 13 years. We're all adults. We love our club. He has definitely made comments over the years where you can tell he still cares about Everton. Being asked about some of our poor form, some of our managerial things, just random little comments here and there when we were playing teams. Like he coached West Ham for quite a while. I don't think he ever gave up on us. I do think he is going to need to be potentially eating a little bit of humble pie, a little bit of apologizing. Like, listen, I was calling out this bad behavior. Were my words the right ones? Probably not. Apologize if you thought they were aimed at you. Everyone's entitled to their feelings, whatever he wants to say. I think that he's going to have to build a little bit more trust with Everton fans again. I do think that he is picking up a team that does have a solid defense, although if we lose Jared Branthwaite, we get a little bit questionable and shaky. He loves a defensive team. He loves it. I think we're missing not a striker. I think we're missing the person behind the striker who feeds. So DCL, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, is constantly having to track way back. He's acting like a winger half the time. He's all the way on the side. How is that? How is he meant to get goals when he's doing the job of another position? I don't get that. We need the person behind who puts the ball where he needs it to score the goal, who serves him the ball. It's going to be interesting. We are in the January transfer window. I don't know if we're going to get anyone in. Moyes may or may not have time to think about that. I'm definitely more cautiously optimistic. It has been several seasons since I have had any glimmer of like actual hope. And that was very upsetting to me. Everton have been a huge part of my life. They have been at times the only high point in some very, very rough weeks. When I lived in New York, I would go down to a bar. I would watch the games with my Everton, New York City Blue family. I got to know so many people, made many friends, had a lot of fun and a lot of escape from the other stuff that was going on in my life. And the most disappointing, heartbreaking part of the past several years has been not having that hope for them. Under Moyes' first term, there was always that, like, everyone thinks we shouldn't beat this team, but you never know. We could scrape that win out. You just work harder than them. Just that 1 minute where they turn off and we don't, we could have it. Haven't had that feeling in a while. With the new owner, with the stadium, with the new manager, knowing that Moyes understands what we as fans truly are looking for from this team, knowing the Friedkin Group has experience owning and running big clubs. They have a measured sort of history of tentative success. From what I understand, they do have some history of success there. There's a lot of good things that are coming. Signs, I think, is a better way to say it. There's a lot of signs that good things are going to come. And it's both good and bad to have hope, right? Because the more hopeful you are, the more you can be let down. But I think we've been through a lot over the past decade as Everton fans. I think we've been through a lot over the past decade. And I think that there is a lot of signs showing good stuff to come. If you made it this far, thank you. I did not mean to do 2 Everton videos in a row, but this news, this turnaround from letting go of Dyche on Thursday to announcing Moyes today was very quick. I was expecting it to be another week or two. I appreciate you if you made it this far. Let me know your thoughts, comments, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And I will see you on the next one. Be kind to yourself.